In this chapter, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to create a jQuery plugin, and there's quite a bit of convention when creating a plugin. You need to pay attention to the names of your files. You need to upload your plugin to a Git, to a repository using Git. You need to include a manifest file, a JSON manifest file. So that's what we're going to really focus on. The plugin itself is going to be very simple. It's basically going to allow us to take an element and add a link to it through jQuery. All right, and it'll take a few parameters. It'll take the link, it'll take the link text, and the target if you want to open it in a new window or not. All right, so right now I'm at the jQuery plugin registry, and we're going to actually submit it to the registry. All right, there's thousands of plugins listed, and just to give you an example, I created one not too long ago called Scroll Slide. All right, so let's search for that. And I have two versions here, 0.10 and 0.20. Okay, so I'll click on this version, and basically it's going to give us a download link to download the plugin. It's going to give us the link on GitHub. We can view the home page. You can add all these if you want. You can add a demo, documentation. All right, so if we go to the GitHub page, this is a repository. All right, and basically you can see the naming conventions here. The actual plugin file needs to be named jQuery, and then the name of your plugin .js, and then we have a manifest file here with the name of the plugin .jQuery.json. So these two files are critical if you want to upload your plugin to the registry. And then we just have some markdown here with dependencies, descriptions, things like that. So we need to do a few things here. One, you need to create a GitHub account, all right, and we need to create a repository for this plugin. Two, you need to install Git. All right, so if you're using Windows like me, then you want to go to git-scm.com, and you can download a Git program that'll give you a command line, and it'll also give you a graphical interface. We're going to use the command line. And then lastly, we need a markdown create. Well, you don't need this, but if you want your repository to have a nice description like this with headings and code blocks, then you want to get a markdown editor, and I use Markdown Pad, which is great. It gives you live view of what you're doing, so I would suggest downloading and installing this. I already have it installed, so I'm not going to, but I do need to download Git. All right, I don't have it on this virtual machine, so we'll do that first. All right, so we'll download for Windows. And while that's downloading, you need to have a GitHub account. All right, so I already created an account. Just sign up, confirm your email, and then what you want to do is create a new repository. Okay, so we're going to say create new up here, new repository. The repository name is going to be jQuery.linkit, and that's it. All right, and then the description, I'm just going to say simple jQuery plugin that allows you to attach a link to any element. All right, now this is going to be public. If you want a private repository, then you need a premium GitHub account. You can choose to initialize it with a README markdown file, but I'm not going to do that. We'll create that on our own. All right, then we're just going to click Create Repository. Okay, so now it'll take you to a page like this, and it gives you the actual commands that you need to run through the Git command line. All right, so pretty easy. Now that we have that Git program downloaded, let's go ahead and install that. And I'm sorry if I'm a little all over the place. It's just a few, quite a bit has to be done here. It's not difficult, but just try to follow along. So I'm going to install this, default location, additional icons, I'll check. We want to Windows Explorer integration, just keep that as it is. next, next. Now here I want to choose to use Git and optional Unix tools from the Windows command prompt. Alright, so this will let us use certain Linux or Unix commands. So I'm going to click next, leave this as is. Okay, and now it's going to install. I close out of here and here and here. Okay, so we have an empty repository. Alright, so now we have that installed. What I want to do now is create our project file on our desktop. And this is going to be called jQuery.linkit. Alright, and I do have a capital I here. I'm using camel case. And we can create our initial structure. First thing, I'm going to create a README markdown file. So I want this to be readme.md. And we can open this up with Markdown Pad. Okay, so basically, Markdown is basically, it's kind of like a mini language. If you want headings, you can use the pound or the number sign. Alright, so we're going to say Linkit jQuery plugin. And the number sign, these act like H tags. Okay, so one of them is like an H1, two of them is like an H2, 3, you can see it's getting smaller over here. Okay, so we're going to keep it at 1 because it's the main title. And then we'll do a description. So we'll say Linkit is a simple jQuery plugin to attach links to elements. And if you want to use bold text, you can use the double asterisk. Okay, you can see in the live preview here that's now bold. You probably want to put the version, so I'm going to use an H2 tag. Okay, version will be 0.1.0. And then you probably want to have a usage area. And we're not going to do this yet. We'll fill that in after. If you want to use code blocks, for instance, let's say we had a script tag, and you want it to be a code block, you can see that it disappeared down here because we're just trying to put it in regular text. But we're going to do 4 spaces. Okay, now you can see that it's a code block. So 4 spaces will put whatever it is into a code block. Alright, so we can also put vendors. Okay, so you want to put like third-party programs here. All we're using is jQuery, so we'll say jQuery, and then to format a link you want to use parentheses, and that's going to be the link text. Alright, and then next to it, actually hold on, brackets should be first, which is the link text. And then this in the parentheses is the actual link. And you probably want to include a license. Okay, we'll just say MIT license. Probably want to put a link to it as well, but this is fine for now. Alright, so let's save that and create the rest of our files. Okay, so like I said, there's a strict naming convention. The main plugin file is going to be called jQuery dot, and then the name of the plugin, linkit.js. And then you also need a manifest file, which needs to be called the name of your plugin dot jQuery dot JSON. Alright, so that's basically it for the actual plugin folder. Alright, now we need to create a project folder for us for our HTML file and things like that. So I'm just going to call this link it, and then I want to move the plugin folder in that folder. Alright, so this is actually the folder that we need to initialize Git and push it to our repository. Okay, so we want to git bash into this folder. Okay, that's going to open up a command line. If you don't see that option here, git bash, just open it up, and you want to just go to this directory here. Okay, it's the plugin directory, and what we're going to do is initialize Git. So we're going to say Git. Actually, before we do that, we need to configure our email and our name. Okay, so we want to say git config global user.email, and then in quotes you want to put your email. Okay, we'll do the same thing with the name. Change this to name. Alright, so now we can initialize git init. Okay, so if we open that up, actually you won't see it yet. And if we go to the repository page, you can see we don't need to do this. We already created that. So we did git init. Now you want to add your stuff, and you can do git add and then the name of the file or folder, but we want to add everything. What the heck? Okay, we want to add everything, so we want to say git add and then a period. Alright, so that didn't add it to the remote repository, that added it to the local one. The next thing we want to do is commit it. So git commit. I'm going to use A and M and then the comment for our commit. Now the the M tag is going to make it so that we don't have to go to another screen to put our comment in. We can do it right here. The A tag is making it so that if we delete something on our local repository, it's going to delete on the remote one as well. Alright, because the default is to just keep it all on the remote. Alright, so we want it to delete, so we're going to do that. Okay, so it's still not in our repository. To do that, we need to grab this here and add our remote repository. So I'm going to copy this and paste that in here. Alright, and then we just need to do this. Okay, we want to push it to our remote repository. And it's going to ask us for our username and password. Alright, so branch master has been set up. Okay, I'm not going to go through branches and how to use Git because that's a whole nother series itself. But now if we go and reload our repository, you can see that everything's here. We have our README file, we have our plugin files, and also our markdown. Okay, so that's all looks really good. Alright, so the last thing I want to do in this video is just create our project file structure. Okay, so we're not going to do any hardcore HTML and styling. I just want to show you just the bare minimum that we need to use the plugin. So we're going to create index.html, and that's actually it. I'm not going to create a CSS folder or anything like that. Let's go ahead and open this up. And I'm just going to do a very basic structure. Okay, we'll put a title, and this will just be plugin example. Alright, and then all I'm going to do in the body is have an H1, and we'll say link it demo, and then a paragraph. jQuery link it plugin demo, and we'll say let's make this text into a link. Okay, and I'm just going to wrap this text in a span tag. Alright, so that's actually all I'm going to do for the HTML. Okay, so we just want to change this text into a link. Alright, so everything's set up. In the next video, we'll work on the actual functionality, and then we'll add a manifest file, and then finally we'll actually publish this plugin in the jQuery plugin registry.